This day has been a long time coming. More than a quarter century ago, in a circumstance much like this today, I said that Austin lost its innocence the night those young souls became victims. Today, we have some closure.
We're breaking from our regular schedule because something huge just happened here in Austin.
After 34 years, the Austin Police Department has finally linked a suspect to the yogurt shop murders.
On December 6th, 1991, the bodies of 4 teenage girls, sisters Jennifer and Sarah Harbison, Eliza Thomas, and Amy Ayers, were found when firefighters responded to a fire at I Can't Believe It's Yogurt on Anderson Lane.
KXAN News reports that the suspect, Robert Eugene Brashers, was identified through DNA and ballistics testing. Brashers is also connected to several other violent crimes and murders in South Carolina, Memphis, Missouri, and Florida. He died by suicide in 1999.
Here's an extremely quick rundown of the history of this case. The teenage victims were found tied up and shot in the head, with evidence indicating that some had been sexually assaulted. Unfortunately, due to the fire and water damage, most of the evidence was destroyed, leaving investigators little to work with.
Over the years, there were multiple suspects, with witnesses pointing to devil worshippers and people in black, the 90s, right? Well, in 1999, 4 men, Michael Scott, Robert Springsteen, Maurice Pierce, and Forrest Welburn, were arrested for the murders. Defense attorneys accused APD of coercing confessions from the young men.
In the end, charges against Pierce and Welburn were dropped, but Springsteen and Scott were convicted. Springsteen was sentenced to death, while Scott got life in prison. Because Springsteen was a minor at the time, his sentence was later reduced to life.
Fast forward to 2006 and 2007, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals overturned both Springsteen and Scott's convictions, ruling that constitutional violations were found in their confessions.
Obviously, there's way more to the story, and we'll get into all of it in our full coverage of the case in November. So be sure to subscribe wherever you listen so you don't miss it.
Just this week, on Monday, September 29th, Austin police held a press conference to lay out their timeline of events and explain what led to this pivotal moment. Here's a quick rundown of what they shared.
First off, APD has never stopped working this case. And while the timing feels interesting given the recent documentary about the murders, detectives had already been making major progress long before the documentary ever hit screens.
Back in 2018, Austin PD retested the small DNA sample they had since the technology had advanced so much since the last round of testing. Unfortunately, there was still no YSTR DNA matches at that time. Most labs weren't even using this kind of technology yet. Investigators also started retesting other pieces of evidence from the scene to see if updated samples could be pulled.
Fast forward to June 2025, Detective Daniel Jackson, who took over the case in 2022, decided to resubmit a .380 shell casing into NIBIN. That's the National Integrated Ballistics Information Network. Think of it like CODIS, but for ballistics.
By early July, that casing came back as a match to evidence from an unsolved murder in Kentucky. When Austin and Kentucky investigators compared notes, they realized the crime shared disturbing similarities, and NIBIN confirmed both had been committed with the same weapon, a .380 caliber AMT backup, model number A75213.
Then in August, Detective Jackson reached out to forensic labs across the country, asking them to manually compare the unknown DNA profile against their databases. Out of the entire country, there was just one hit, a perfect match to Robert Eugene Brashers.
This DNA profile was found on the Harbison sisters and Amy Ayers. Finally, in September, detectives sent additional pieces of evidence from the crime scene, including Amy's fingernail clippings, to DNA Labs International. The samples were badly degraded and too fragmented for CODIS, so this was essentially APD's last shot at closing the case.
They weren't running it against everyone in the system. They just needed to know, did it match Brashers? And when the results came back, the DNA under Amy's fingernails sealed the deal.
And really, it's Brasher's daughter, Brenda, who deserves the credit. In 2018, she agreed to provide a DNA sample to help solve the 1990 murder of Jenny Zetricki in South Carolina. That decision tied her father to Zetricki's murder, several others, and now to the yogurt shop murders.
We've lived in Austin our entire lives, and to finally be able to say something that has been so infamous in our city has finally been solved. It's very surreal. It didn't really feel like this day was going to come.
I agree. I think I'm still in shock. Even writing this and watching the news conference this morning and seeing the family members there, it was just, it's surreal. It doesn't feel like it actually happened yet. And I think, unfortunately, because he has been dead for a very long time, I feel like justice just feels different. And hopefully that's not true for the families. I'm just saying, for us that have lived here and known this case for so long, to know it's finally been solved, but the guy who did it is no longer here to face any sort of justice for it is bittersweet.
That's just it. It's just, I mean, hopefully now the families, since they have answers that they've been wondering for so many years, hopefully that'll bring a little bit of closure. And
yeah. But I'm interested to see what else we find out, because they said they're not done. They still have work to do on their end. And I have a feeling that the work that they've been doing behind the scenes is going to end up linking him to more murders that have not been solved, is kind of what they were hinting at.
Wouldn't be surprised.
No. So hopefully more information will come forward this month, and we can include that in our deep dive in November as well. So yeah, this is super exciting, and I can't wait to dive even more into this. And until next time, stay safe.
And make good choices.
Bye.